Come look. Come look. Come look. Hey, little friend. Where'd you go? I have studio friends. This is an Australian rainbow lorikeet and they're adorable. Ah, hold on. Where's all the colour gone? Dun, dun, dun. So maybe that was just a terrible camera effect, but hi, welcome to the studio. I'm Liz and today we are part of Courageous Painting's biggest Pantone art collab on YouTube. 50 artists have been tasked with repairing the rainbow bridge to the monster universe, and we're doing that by finding the shards that have been scattered about. That is, the Pantone colours. So each artist is given 2 Pantone colours to make creative art with, so we can get out of this greyish world and restore the bridge. Now to start, if you haven't found this collab before, please check out the playlist with Courageous Painting. So far we've had Courageous Painting, Anchored Art Designs, Los Antonino, Deedle Date, Sin City Yeti, and Die from Aussie Crafter all put together some colours of their own. I'm really excited to now be doing my part, so let's find out what we're painting. Because this whole collab started with Courageous Painting's amazing narrative about the Rainbow Bridge and the monster universe all losing their connection to the real world and the Rainbow Bridge shattering because artists stopped having fun with colour, I really wanted to do a Grisaille underpainting. So this means I'm embracing the grey to find my form and find my people, find my figures, and then we're going to bring in colour for a second layer of glazing. I'm using standard traditional oil paints for this one, as opposed to my water mixable oils, simply because there were some colours I really liked in this lot to use. Also because I'm using a bunch of colours that were already on my palette, so that's fine too. To find the image for this, I was really hopeful to find 2 people that fit together almost like puzzle pieces right next to each other with that lovely little eye socket pocket. It took me a little while, but on Unsplash I found this image by Alexander Gray and it worked perfectly for what I wanted. For the challenge, you can either create 2 separate artworks with each Pantone colour, or you can create one that harmonises the 2, and that was definitely what I wanted to aim for in this piece. When doing the underpainting, I use a 5-step Grisaille value scale. I use lamp black and titanium white, and then I mix up 100% black, 75% black, 25% white, 50-50, 25% black, 75% white, and 100% white. Having those steps allows me to very quickly build the form of the face and designate which areas are going to be the darkest darks and the lightest lights and create that form so you get that 3D effect. With this being such a small section of 2 faces, I don't have a lot of landmarks other than the eye socket itself and the ball of the eye to create that form. So I had to be careful to make sure I did go dark enough and I did go light enough, otherwise it would start looking illustrative and like line work as opposed to looking like shapes and physically like an object coming forward. I do like using this Grisaille technique and I do use it quite often, so there are some other videos on my channel where you can see me use this technique. When it comes to the second layer of using colour, that's where we're going to bring in our Pantone colours, but almost there, almost there. First we've got to figure out what they are. And this is where I tripped up in a way some of the other artists didn't. In my eagerness, I decided to pick my artist's choice colour first, and when looking at all the beautiful colours, I went, yep, 5555, that's a great number. Beautiful sage kind of green, really nice and calm. This is gorgeous. I could do so many things with this. And then Mike got to choose the second colour, the co-host from Courageous Painting. Mike, show us what you picked.
Thank you for accepting this challenge and to being brave with your creativity. Mike is ready to choose your second color. Mystery Envelope. Mix, mix, mix. Russet Orange. Beautiful. Now that you've got your color, it's up to you to use it in any creative project to help restore the Rainbow Bridge. Mike and I can't wait to see what you create.
Russet Orange. You could not get more clashy and orange. But before we get to putting these colours in, I get to play with all the other colours first. When it comes to doing colour over the top of an underpainting, grisaille, neutral underpainting, there's a couple of different ways you can do it. I think more traditionally and primarily, most people do a very transparent layer of glazing over the top. That is using mediums or specifically transparent pigments to create like a stained glass effect, just doing sheer layers of colour where you can see through to that underpainting to create the form, but the colour is just tinting it. Now, I've been taught both that technique and a separate technique where you use the opaques as well as the transparents and use the underpainting as a map. Every time you put down a new colour, you're checking whether what it's covering is the same value. Is it the same dark or light? Does it need to be darker or does it need to be lighter? And that's the method I tend to use a bit more often. It is controversial sometimes whether that is correct, but at the same time, it's another tool. There are two different ways you can use the same tool of an underpainting to create a similar end. In this method, I really like it because I can play a lot more with colour. I don't need to do big washes of single colours. I can really pick out heaps of different shifts and slow down a little bit and try and really follow the map of the image to go around. You can see in a few cases I do definitely put down colours that are too dark or too light compared to what they're covering, but that was more me having fun. So do as I say, not as I do. That's the problem with artists. We all break our own rules, even though we're sitting here trying to learn the rules all the time. But it's what we do, it's what we do. And that's okay as long as you like the end result. So, meh, not the end of the world. Now that I've had fun bouncing around the whole painting, except for the irises of the eyes, I think you can see where I'm going to bring in those Pantone colours. I wanted the restored colours for the Rainbow Bridge to be coming from within the artists, within the figures. And by showing my colours in the irises, not only do they grab your attention, but they show those colours in the world, in what we see, which is so nice. Originally, my plan was just to mix each colour individually, and that's, I gotta say, mixing the colours to try and match them perfectly is so joyful. I really, really enjoy it. I have another, I'm going to call it a series, even though there's one episode at the moment, where I paint on the colour cards from the Colour Cube by Sarah Renee Clark, and the colour mixing is so satisfying and fun to do. I do have another episode of that one coming out, so please hit subscribe, hit like if you'd like to see that or see me do more painting in general. I really, really appreciate it. I'm trying to get my channel monetized at the moment, so any watch hour is well appreciated, I tell you now. So now that we've seen that beautiful, satisfying colour mixing, I get to chuck it straight in the iris. It's a bit of a push and pull, and I'll be honest, this is exactly the joy of oil painting, because you can take it darker, take it lighter, be more vibrant, less vibrant, and just keep playing with it. And if at the end of the day you don't like what you've done, you can scrub it off and try again. So the paint stays wet and it's easy to manipulate. Obviously this russet orange is so intense when you first put it on, but I sit there and I push and I pull until it's somewhere where I like it. The same thing mixing up the Pantone 5555. That one was so much easier to mix up, I'll be honest, because it is less vibrant. But as well as that, it's a color family that I'm very familiar with, the blue-greens, and I know where I'm going with this one, so that was super easy. Again, integrating it into the iris, it's so interesting seeing the effect of the black and white underpainting when it's in one tiny concise spot, because it makes the eye look so blue before I start putting the green on top. And that's just the idea of context. The context around the thing that you're painting really affects how it's perceived. So don't judge your painting until you've got the whole way around, because most of the time the context of what is around the thing you're painting will severely change how it looks. And people who sit there and do 2/3 of a painting, and I've been this person, and judge it so harshly and just can't get it right, get everything else on first. The easiest thing you can do for yourself is allow yourself to put an ugly, messy layer on everything before you judge it and see what it's like and really tell yourself whether it's right or wrong. Once you've got all the pieces down, then you can start manipulating and moving it back and forth. And you can see that now with the eyes. The other thing I decided to do was, rather than just have the one color in each eye, which is what I started with, I decided to really look at bringing them together. My eyes themselves, they're a weird blotchy mess of grey and green and blue all sort of squished together. I don't have those perfect rings that some people have, that's so cool, but mine are just sort of blotches. And I wanted to have the russet orange and the 5555 exist in the same world. And this is two people who are very different, but they've got the same colours in their iris. I know you don't see the colours with the iris of the eye, it's just the way the colours are shown, but that was kind of the idea. I was having fun with eye colour and the idea of seeing colour. Yeah, you get what I mean. I do the painty, not the words. So yeah, hi. The only thing I really tripped up on with this one is I finished the painting at night with my daylight lamp and I thought it was looking great, and then when I came back to the studio a few days later, my gosh, did it look different in daylight. And that was simply because a lot of the colours I'd used on the skin were transparent, and so different lights affected it differently. I decided to go in with another layer now that it all dried down. I was using my liquid fine detail again to get a fast dry effect, and that worked really well. So that meant that I could paint on it again 3 days later, and I did some transparent glazes of some of my favourite transparent colours, which were transparent yellow oxide and transparent, well done, transparent yellow oxide and transparent red iron oxide, that's the one. Yeah, and those did create that sheer stained glass effect over the top and just allowed me to manipulate some of the colours. I put some Terra Rosa in that cheek just to rosy it up, and once I got that balance right, this is my final piece. If I wanted to be cheesy about it, I'd definitely title this piece like Seeing Colour or something like that, but I really enjoyed putting these together, and even though it's just on a little piece of loose canvas, can you imagine it in like a diamond frame? That would look so cool. So, future goals, future goals. I want to say a huge thank you to Courageous Painting for having me as part of your collab, and I also want to excitedly announce the next artist coming is Rose Recklin Crafts. Rose Recklin Crafts is an incredible multi-skilled YouTuber, she can do crafting, she can do making, she can do changing and manipulating, and my gosh, is she a queen of cute little critters. So absolutely go check out her channel. In a couple of weeks, you'll see what colours she gets in the Pantone challenge. And thank you so much for joining me in the studio today. And don't forget to wash your brushes. Bye.
Hello, little guy. Hello.
Do you ever record like all the audio for a video and then go to upload it and realize there's no audio? Why? I have no idea what my old audio was, so let's make it up. Yeah. This is why I should get good at lip reading, because I have so much footage of me going yap, yap, yap. And do you know what I'm saying? So if you're not familiar, this is the Australian bottle brush tree. Yes, it does look like brushes designed to wash bottles or toilets, but it's fun. It's very us. And hey, attracts local wildlife. Hooray! Hey, editing Liz here. Last thing, I promise. While I was editing this video, I flashed back to this particular episode of the Powerpuff Girls. First of all, sound off in the comments if you grew up on Powerpuff Girls and you remember this one. And one, how dark is it? Because it is so dark. And two, there are some amazing one-liners. Tell me your favorite Powerpuff Girl one-liners in the comments. Alright, bye.
I've got crayons! My crayons are beautiful, just not magic. And this should be green. Now that's better.